Happy Friday. This is unusual, isn't it? Exactly. I love it when it works out like the taboo alchemy. I was live earlier on TikTok today talking about taboo alchemy, how how there's even an occult because real power has always been suppressed over centuries, real power, um, particularly women's power. And you're just, I mean, if money is all you want, if you want a normal life, and when I say normal life, I mean a house or two houses, a couple cars, a spouse, kids in the suburbs, two vacations a year. You can do that with the Bible, its teachings, if you even need that. Or, you can, that's not hard to get. That's, I mean, and uh, I was talking earlier today about taboo alchemy, which is a process of historically was the process of taking lead, turning it to gold. I'll tell you what this photo is about here in time. So historically, that's what how alchemy has been. You can go look that up. Psychologically, alchemy is the process of taking anything that is dense or negative or traumatic or a bind that you think you don't like or a struggle or a limitation, whatever you want to call it, and converting it into fuel that's useful for you. Whether that usefulness is, I want to now be able to create money. I want to flow. I want my power. I want the freedom to do X, Y, and Z. Okay. Yeah, mental alchemy, right? So psychology, mental, etc. Okay. Um, what is this cousin thing? So, and let me say hi, hi. Yep, that's nice. That's a good one. Think and Grow Rich. That's super good. Super good is, I think, Think and Grow Rich is good for any level, really. I think if you're new, it's good. I think it's good to almost like a refresher, so to speak, with the fundamentals, because there's the fundamentals of you. Anyway, so my name is Naima. I'm about divine feminine power. I'm about raw power. I'm about raw power. I'm about taboo alchemy, okay? And taboo alchemy exists in the domain of inappropriate, dangerous, wrong, bad, stay away, taboo alchemy, okay? Taboo alchemy. Society is held together today. Society is held together today by fear. That's how it can maintain its current existence. Fear. You are very afraid of being known, you and everybody else. You're afraid of being known. Everybody has a shadow, and the shadow is your unconscious self. I was sharing earlier that your it's so simple and yet it's so easy to just be like whatever because everybody, you're unconscious, you're unaware of it. It's repressed. The reason why it's repressed is because you were either ashamed of it, or you will be ashamed of it, or you shame it. That's how something becomes unconscious to you, into your shadow. So while in your mind, you think you're a good person, you think you're decent, you think you're thoughtful, you think you're loving, you think you're helpful, you think you're a good person, you think you're, what else do you think you are, right? Considerate and patient and kind and all that. In your shadow, there's going to be some kind of pettiness, viciousness, uh, uh, ugly, whatever, impatient, greedy, things that you would judge yourself harshly about if you were to bring them up. And part of alchemy is bringing those things up in a deliberate way as a means to extract the power out of them and then to use that power to create the desired result, the higher desired result. And the reason why I say the higher desired result is because part of your desire is to be a shadow human being. Part of your desire is to be petty, to be greedy, to get your little thrills in life off of shadow behavior, off of getting over on somebody, over chronically being late, over saying one thing and meaning another, over lying, convincing people to think something and really doing that. So like telling people what they want to hear, but really doing something else. Everybody has their own flavor of acting out their shadow selves because there's a part of us that likes the dark. We just don't admit it. And instead of admitting it, we say, I hate this. And we don't. This is exactly why inside of my premium course called Shadow Gold, there's a module dedicated strictly to hating what you love and loving what you think you hate, because humans are kinky, stubborn, controlling individuals. Humans are stubborn, kinky, controlling individuals. Humans are stubborn, kinky, controlling individuals. Okay? We are our own worst enemies and we love it. We like pain. We like struggle. We like strife. We like all the things we think we hate. It gives us something to war with, to interact with, to play with in our psychological selves. Okay? We create meaning all the time because when we don't have meaning, there's a sort of nullification to ourselves. Okay? That's another dynamic. So I'm here tonight because I got the call to be here tonight. What is this photo right here? That's me in Italy in 2021. And I want to talk today about the environment for us to engage in womanhood practices, alchemy, and the empathy required for power. Okay? Having the real environment for power. Okay? And I talked today on TikTok about the boredom of Black women. That it's safe to be certain things as a Black woman. There's certain things you can be. It's safe to be those things. And if you deviate outside of that, there's a level of attack waiting for you. That there are prices to pay. And so where does one go where she is safe to really get to know herself? When I say herself, I mean all the selves. All the selves. You are a contradictory being. You have multiple selves going on all the time. Okay? There's the you that you're aware of. Right? Like if I say to you, who are you? Whatever you would describe to me is what's conscious to you. What you would never say out of your mouth is also conscious to you. And the parts of you you wouldn't even know about yourself until you were in a circumstance where that part of you got called forward. All things are possible, Zola. Thank you for the follow, A. Wells. So, first of all, my name is Naima. Have we met before? Your name is new to me, Zola. Have you been here before? If you are, mm, um, I put this picture here to bring forward the energy of Italy. And I personally am in love with Italy. My heart is there. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous place for us to immerse, for us to, wow. Mm, you know, that the soft place where there's the internal environment and then there's also the external environment. I lived between Italy and France for 4 years. So I have real experience with Italy and France. And I plan to spend lots more time in Italy. And um, I've had VIP days with clients in Italy. I had a group of women come out in, what was that, 2016? Yes. Was that 2016? Yes. 2016, I had a group of women come out. They were scheduled to be there for a month. And I know it's possible when women have a physical environment that is beautiful, that has lots of permission, and that is a retreat of sorts, particularly outside of the United States. Particularly outside of the United States. There's a real frequency in the United States. For those of you who travel, you know what I'm talking about. There's a real frequency in the United States that, whatever you want to call it, but it's its own frequency. And um, to me, Italy is an abundance of old beauty. I love it. It's an abundance of old beauty because Italy is older than the United States and they have lots of old buildings. There's the Duomo that's so many hundreds of years old. Um, Matter of fact, how old is the Duomo? Can I type? I used to know. You see that? That's how. Um, Duomo. Um, Italy has an appreciation for the feminine. Italy has a lot of blackness in it's baked in. It's not all plastered and evident, but it's very baked in. Italy is where you can go to find Black Jesus. There's a city called Genova. It's a gorgeous city. And they have a church there with a Black Jesus in it. I did a video there, what was that, 2021? Um, because of Italy's appreciation for beauty and the feminine, it's very inviting for us to do this kind of work of the the softening into the divine feminine and wow, and the pace of it all, the slowing down and then speeding up when we want to. But there's a Italy is very much about, long lunches and what they call dolce fa niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. It's called dolce, which is sweet. It's the name for sweet. Like if you want to go get dessert, it's dolce. So dolce fa niente. Far, F-A-R, niente. Niente. Dolce fa niente. And so which means the sweetness of doing nothing. Okay. And being able to do plenty when you want to do plenty. Okay. Which we'll be doing plenty. And so if you like to, this is for advancing women. This is for women who are beyond typical transformational work, who are beyond typical. You've already done, this is advanced, so you know what I mean. I have a vision for the world to really know the power of the original woman. I have a vision for the world to really know the power of the original woman. And there's a frequency that when it is embodied, a lot of the things that we worry about, there's an armor that's erected that we don't have to, we are not required to get into any kind of masculine energy or whatever. This is this is the secret. This is the hidden secret. And you don't come to know these things until you start engaging in advanced alchemy and high level transformational work, which is beyond how do I do this? And how, just like this TikTok girly, oh, my power. Okay. Advanced alchemy is wicked as fuck. And you know what I mean, right? I don't have to describe what I even mean. Wicked? Oh my God, you mean like evil? Like when you're advanced, you don't even, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And so when there's a power, I'm telling y'all, when it's embodied, the power of the original woman, which is so foreign to human beings, it's so foreign. There may be an inclination of it that is felt like it's kind of like felt, but it's distant and it's all in like possibility, but the concretization of it and the embodiment of it and the witnessing of it in real time is so foreign to humanity. And the closer a woman gets to it on the outskirts, like if you're looking at it from the, like even a person watching me, if you're looking at it from the outskirts, so you're starting to feel yourself get close to it and you're not being developed in the process, the turbulence of it could easily make a person abandon ship, fall into amnesia, start to judge it and push it away, try to intellectualize it, make it make sense, like, oh, the predictable, typical things that would happen. And when a woman really submits, see, in submission, you release the need to control it and understand it. This is high level, right? And this is what we will be practicing in Italy. Like, for those of you who are sincere about your power and you're called to really be imbued and full with who you really are, so that there's like, this is so beyond fulfillment. I was talking to this young lady. I was like, there's another word beyond, because English language is really an inferior language. So I'm using an inferior language right now to articulate, but when you're really at least on a minimal level tuned in, you can even glean further from this lower language of English when I speak, and the feeling, the energy, the frequency. So when you submit to it and you get beyond, like, for example, you know how when you are on the verge of something and you go start binge watching content, like people who go to and they start binge watching content, right? And I can see that they like 20 videos and they save a bunch of videos and they follow and there's this sort of like masturbation. Ooh, so there's like, right? And so that's part of the get off. Like that's part of how we like nut. That's like, ooh, yeah, right? But it's still not the thing. It's just typical human get off. Like, ugh, ooh, I'm getting high, I'm getting chills, but there's still not the embodiment of it. The embodiment of it turns your mind upside down. The embodiment of it makes you disconnect from your current reality and step into a whole other reality. There's a submission into where your frequency literally pivots and you start calling in other realities. It's a whole other level of play. Hold on, I need to plug in. And it's like, it's beyond cognition. It truly is beyond cognition. And then when we get there, then all the other things we want to do, we can start doing. Because at this level where you all are right now, the questions that you would ask would only be reflective of the fact that you're not in submission to the power. And what happens is what makes it boring, and you can start to get into your own resistance, like, well, and you're trying to like make it, everything that happens when you're outside of it is like where all the dominant masculine is, that's running so much of everything, which is why there's so much resistance to so much. It's like when you really submit over to the feminine power of things, there's a resistance that disappears, and there's this It's a lubed being held, and you just know. And this is what society, it's so anyway. So then what happens is when you and this is what we'll be doing. This is what we'll be doing in Italy. When we get over to this place together, there's certain questions that completely go out of the door, and we just know. This is where telepathy can start happening for real. For real. Where when I call, you knew I was about to call before I called. Where a conversation that you bring forward, I knew you were going to bring that conversation. Where you feel me thinking, and you already know what I'm thinking from a distance, and you can send me something, and I get it. And that's when telepathy can really start happening regularly, not like this, like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you, where it's kind of like random every now and then, maybe. And then these impactful things we want to do, and these really rich experiences that we want to have that include lots of money, and, you know, where it's like real love. Because part of what happens in the submission is like all of the background chatter dissolves. Before you submit over, the chatter becomes really loud. You guys know that place before you make a decision where you're like, should I, shouldn't I? I don't know. You talk to this person, I don't know. You go pray, you gotta, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Like before you make a really big life-changing decision, you're so dramatic. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It's so much like, I need to pray about it. Let me go talk. I don't know. And you might sit on the periphery of a decision for like 3 years. In this place of indecision, it's not indecision. You've made the decision that you ain't doing it yet. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And that's when all that background chatter is loud. Should I? Shouldn't I? How will I look? I don't know. Can I? Not now. I got kids. What about I gotta lose weight? This doesn't make sense. You too old. You too young. Are you smart? I don't like your voice. Maybe we gotta do this first. Wait till the kids grow up. Lose weight. Do this. I don't know. You can't do it. You didn't even graduate from college. You don't like your voice. What is your mom gonna say? What is your husband gonna say? Are you gonna find a man? What? Right? When you are on the verge of some true power shit, true change, true transformation, it gets loud, right? When you live in a mediocre life, Netflix, just doing basic shit with the kids, mediocre, that chatter is almost non-existent, right? Or it's like a little, it's barely there in the back because you're not doing anything, right? But as soon as you get on the brink of either real power, real transformation, something really significant that's going to advance your life tremendously, then all of a sudden that chatter that's usually never there or is low, the volume turns up loud. And then who knows what you do with that, right? You're going to make a decision. But when you make the decision to submit over into the power, so in this instance that I'm talking about, submitting into coming over to Italy for 3 months. So we're there October, November, December of this year. October, November, December. Okay. If you'd like to put yourself on the wait list for this, go to the link in my bio and put your information in for, it says have waitlist. I know the details on that page say something else about membership, mentorship. Maybe that, maybe Italy. That's just a way I can capture your email and we can be in conversation. When you submit over, okay, you've already done the chatter and you submit over, it calms. The loudness, which seems like a vortex, a whirlwind, it calms. Then you connect with other women who went through the same gauntlet. Because just like you're there, other women are there too. And there's a connection and there's a shared frequency, which there's a mental connection as well. So then there's a one mind that happens. Women who did the same thing. And understanding that a woman who says yes to that is on a certain frequency. Then in that, the mind which is a collective mind. Let's say it's 7 of us. There's a collective mind. It's 7 of us, but it's one mind that gathers that then starts to inform the projects that we engage in. Okay? So we decide we want, what I'm making this up right now, but let's say we decide we want to have a program where we're going to go to South Africa, London, and Houston, Texas, and Ontario, Canada, to speak on a certain topic. That we're going to put together a program that costs this amount of money that's focused on this for the collective of women worldwide. We're living in Italy. We're doing this. Our days are filled with doing work in very feminine, flowy, interactive, telepathic, joyful ways, where we're speaking life into each other in a beautiful, beautiful environment. Remember, I told you Italy is very beautiful. We're in a very beautiful home. We've already created money to even be there, because the conversation starts now with, how do we pay for this? To prepare for us to be there. And when you're in the mind of, how do I do this versus I can't, and not now, see, because I don't have that. Right. That's why I say the women who lean into this and come, they're of a certain mind. Don't worry. I don't have to say that. It's a certain mind that leans into a certain kind of power. But this is how this works. I've done this. I've seen this. And then there's the sustainability component. This is dynamic. I'm laying out the vision, and this is one version of the vision. What's powering all this is the true raw power of the original woman and the submission to it. And you cannot fake this. You can't. That's what I love about this. I don't have to worry, never. Not necessarily, not we're like as if I have to worry. No. Overthinking, due diligence, like all the stuff that we do in our masculine frames as women that we think is responsible. Like, I got to do my due diligence, and I got to research it, and the divine feminine, the power of the original woman, it knows. It knows. When you really submit to this power, you know, I want to be held like that. I want to be connected like that. I want to be in that kind of power. And it works. Lord. Like, as soon as I feel, even as I'm talking right now, I feel myself going over there. It's like, yeah, I don't even have nothing to do with that. It's like, okay, stop. Hey, Bonita. Bonita, let me open up another window in case I see your like, but I don't know if you commented. I want to make sure I'm not missing you. So this picture right here is me at, why am I looking back here as if it's back here? So I had a photo shoot and video shoot in Milan, Italy. I've had several over the years, but this one is in 2021. And what you're looking at right there is the Duomo. The Duomo is, thank you for sharing the live stream. If that was Benita who shared it, I'm showing that there was a share. And Facebook, just so you know, I have a green screen up on TikTok. So although you can't see it, on TikTok, there's a green screen of a photo of me in front of the Duomo in the middle of a photo shoot and video shoot in 2021. And the Duomo is, in Italy, the city center where the church is called the Duomo. D-U-O-M-O. Duomo. Duomo. D-U-O-M-O. And what you're seeing here is the church in the center of Milan, Italy, where Milan Fashion Week happens every year. It's very near here. You can walk to the, I forgot the name of the street where all the high-end shops are, where all the parties happen. And It's super busy twice a year for Milan Fashion Week. It's gorgeous. It is beautiful. Thank you for following, Johnny. And so this is just to give you a visual of the beauty of Milan, Italy. Uh, this you can go, like, this is a tourist destination, so you'll go on any given day when they're open, and you'll see a line outside, and you can take an elevator all the way to the top of this thing. I have video and images with me at the top of the Duomo. You can also go down into the basement, and it's so, oh my God, beautiful inside. This thing is hundreds and hundreds of years old. I can't even remember. I used to have this at the top of my head, but how many years it's been here, how many centuries it took to build it. Um, but I'm sure I'm telling you, I could be like this, and I get drop myself in Italy, and within 48 hours, I'm speaking the language better, get into that frequency, and suddenly I'm just like, niente. You know, I'm just like, la basta, la si basta, no, a bueno. You know, buonasera. You know, just get me there for a good 48 hours, and it's like I'm keyed back in again. Why do they get nervous of you, Appel? So, this beauty here, this is what's available to us when we immerse in Italy. Or anywhere, even Paris. Paris is absolutely beautiful. There's so much shopping around here. Like, if you're into shopping, oh my God. You know how I ended up in Milan? I want to talk about that. So I used to think I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I just searched on the internet. I was like maybe 19 at the time, 19 or 20. And I was like, how to be a fashion designer or fashion design school or something like that. And of course, because Milan, Italy is the fashion capital of the world, literally. And Paris is the close second. Okay. Of course, so Milan, Italy came up, and their fashion schools came up. And they have a school there called, well, they have several, but the main one, which is still alive today, is called Istituto Merengoni. Istituto Merengoni. Istituto Merengoni. I love saying that. It's such a sexy language. And I just did my research. I looked into it, and I found out that they had a summer design program that basically was like, get to know them. Let's see if you really want to do this. Come and try it out. And it was for foreigners or even local folks who want to come for the summer and see if they really want to do it. And so I went to this program. I was like, oh my God, I want to go. And so I had paid for it with a scholarship I had at the time, some money my mom gave me, and then I had some of my own money. And I went there for the summer when I was like 20, something like that, 2021, somewhere around there. And it was one of the greatest, most spectacular. It was it. When I said, this is for me. And I have so many stories of my time there, but the one that it was like fate. It was like it set me up for where I am now, my love affair, me returning there when I did in 2015, my expectation that I'll spend much of the rest of my life there, that I'm even sharing with you all here about us being there at the end of this year, is when it was time for me to leave after this summer program. I was on the plane after having such a gorgeous time, gorgeous time. And then this program that I was in, part of the package was that they would hook you up with a roommate. The package included housing, It included the actual fashion design program. And so I had a roommate. And you know who was also in the program at the time? The niece of the district attorney of San Francisco. It was incredible. And I'm from San Francisco. So it was like, wow. So she was in it and it was just a beautiful time. And so I went to parties, because it's a high end, it's a prestigious fashion school. And so designers and other fashion houses that are looking for talent, there were relationships with the school. And so we were invited to fashion parties and fashion shows and gosh, and I love style. And so I was at parties, I was meeting people and gosh. So after this grand time of eating Italian food for the first time, like real Italian food, and going to parties and enjoying myself and dancing and styling. I even created a fashion line, because I learned how to sketch and how to sew and what it actually looks like to build out a line, a fashion line. My God, you guys. That was also where I learned that it's not fashion design that I like, it's styling. There's a difference between design, where you're sketching and you have someone sew and all that, and wardrobe styling, which is what you see when you are shopping and there's a window. There's a merchandiser who comes and merchandises that window, or celebrities who have stylists, and like that is the part that I like. But I didn't know that. I thought it was design, my ignorant mind. So at that time, right now I know. And so after having this grand time, and I think I was there for like a month and a half, something like that. I'm on the plane on my way back to California after having this grand time. And I remember not wanting to leave, being so sad that I was leaving. And as the plane, you know how the plane sits at the end of the runway right before it gets clearance to take off? And the pilot says, "We've been cleared for takeoff." And we start taxiing real fast down the runway. And I just burst out in tears. I was just crying. And I was married at the time. I was married in this program. And those are the main reasons why I even went back, because I was married and because I was still in college. And I remember as we were taxiing real fast down that runway, I was like, I don't know when and I don't know how, but I am moving to Milan, Italy. And in 2015, that dream came true. And it is because of my experience in Milan, Italy, and in Paris, France, because again, I lived between both countries for 4 years. It's because of those immersive experiences over time and how much beauty affects a human being. And how easy it is in America to disregard the pace, the slow pace, because we're working all the time. How easy it is to disregard beauty or to constantly commodify beauty. Or to just get caught up in the sameness of everyday life. And once you expose yourself repeatedly, because I remember when I went to the south of France for the first time, and I was absolutely blown away. I was just so. The first time I went to south of France, I went to Saint Tropez to be exact. And Saint Tropez is a former fisherman's village that is now a celebrity or wealthy person's hotspot. Like Saint Tropez, nobody broke is going to Saint Tropez, okay? And I knew that, right? That's part of why I wanted to go, because the pictures I was seeing, and I was like, oh my God, the first time I saw it, Jay-Z and Beyonce were there. And this is why I've talked about wealth consciousness so much, because shadow work and wealth consciousness have been pivotal. And it's pivotal for any and everybody because wealth has to do with your embodied deservability. Your embodied deservability. We don't let ourselves have things. But when we cultivate our wealth consciousness, we start to, my God, we start realizing everything is ours. We just haven't let it in. And I remember I wanted to go to South of France for years, but I would always tell myself, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. I can't afford that. How many of y'all talking about stuff you can't afford? Especially in today's climate. It's just so easy to be like, girl, inflation is through the roof, rent is high, taxes, you know, food, grocery bills is high. Change where your attention is. Just change, because it's way easy to get sucked into what everybody is talking about. It's way too easy. You got to create a whole new vortex for where your attention goes, including me. That's all of us. And I remember I'm telling you, once you see things you can't unsee, you can't go back. You can't go back. And that's a good thing, because that means you can never truly settle again. Never. You can never truly settle again. Some people might call that a curse. So be it. Okay. And so the way Saint Tropez works, because it's a former fisherman's village, and it's an hour and a half from the main airport. The main airport is Nice. Many of you are probably familiar with Nice, France, you know. And I was in a Mercedes truck. So the primary cars in Nice are Mercedes and some other European car, but they're high-end cars. So I'm in a Mercedes truck that takes me into the village. And I remember I had fallen asleep on the way there. And what happens is, as you are approaching the village, it's all water. Because remember, well, if you didn't know, the village sits on water. Okay. And it's like it's not an island, but it's like it seems like an island. Because remember, there's yachts all around and it's water. So to get there, you're coming up alongside the water, because essentially it's a village that sits on the water. So I remember as we were approaching the village, the driver speaks to wake me up because I had fallen asleep. And so, Mademoiselle, and you wake up, and he said, we're arriving to your destination. And I open up and I look, and it's like water, and I'm like, oh my God, right. And I'm just like paying attention. And then we go over a speed bump. And I remember there's a grocery store, and I think there's 2 speed bumps. And then you officially enter the village. And you can feel when you enter the village, because prior to entering the village, it's nice, but it's not the inside. It's not inside the village, because there's a very physical difference and a felt difference once you enter. So before you enter, there's like a basic everyday grocery store where everybody goes, right? There's the hills. You see houses up on the hills. There's shops and cafes. There's the beach. There's people walking. There's the ocean. Then once you cross over these 2 speed bumps past that grocery store, it narrows. And then it opens again. And then when it opens again, it's like suddenly there's Bentleys. No, really. You have to see this with your own eyes. There's Bentleys and Porsches and what's that? Audis, right? And then there's this hotel right there. I don't remember the name of the hotel. And then suddenly you start seeing all these high-end stores, cute cafes, other businesses like boutiques, clothings, and things like that. And then you start these tiny cobble streets. You start narrowing, splitting off into these cobble streets. And I remember entering, and I remember looking around, and I remember this so vividly. I was like, this is what I've been missing. Now, as I think in back hindsight, all of us know that there's more for us. It was beautiful. It is beautiful. all of us know that there's more for us, right? And my version of more and beautiful can be different from your version of more and beautiful, right? So what I'm describing here to many people is like, so what, right? But for me, because I'd always wanted to travel to the South, to Saint Tropez specifically, and for years I told myself I couldn't afford it. And just looking at the pictures, I knew, oh my God, this is for me. And telling myself, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. If Jay-Z and Beyonce was there, I definitely can't afford it. I'm not even going to look at that. And finally engaging in the internal wealth consciousness work, engaging in the practices to prime your mind, where I would start going to 5-star hotels to even have an expensive drink, going to sit there and feeling myself enjoying it. Like, these are some of the wealth consciousness things I was doing. You know, I started looking at, how about this? Actually looking at what it would cost to go versus being like, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. And you don't even know how much it costs. I didn't even know how much it costs. Researching, well, how much would it cost to go there? And realizing, oh, the airport is Nice. Oh, the airport is an hour and a half away. Oh, so then you would need a car to get there. Oh, well, how much is the car? And oh, how much would it be to, oh, and where would I stay at? Oh. And then like the clarity and the illumination while doing all the other wealth consciousness work and making it normal, and engaging in these practices. And what's driving me is the desire of it all, the desire. And pulling in, and the driver is saying, you know, this is this, and he's just sort of telling me this is this, this is this. And then I still don't know when we arrive because I'm new here. He's the driver. He's telling me what we're, and we pull up in front of the building that I'm in. And he says, here's your address. And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember I was texting my Airbnb host because it was an Airbnb, and I told her we're on our way. And then as we were getting closer, I text her, hey, we're going to. So then she comes out to meet us to make sure I know how to get in and all the things. And I get out, and it's a narrow street. And Saint Tropez, there's a lot of, y'all heard of the cobblestone streets in the south of France, or in Europe, period. So there's cobblestone streets, and it's a narrow street, and he sort of pulls up a little on the sidewalk so other cars can go by because it's so narrow. And mopeds are driving by, and people are just walking all around. And she greets me, and they greet each other, and then he gets my luggage out the back, and then, hi, bonjour, and then I'm like, hi, bonjour, you know, and we go up, right, because the Airbnb is up some stairs, and she checks me in and here are your keys, this is this, and that is that, and do you have any questions? Welcome to Saint Tropez, And then she leaves, and then I look out the window. So there are windows. There are, there's a lot of those, what do you call those? That windows that open like that. And I open the window, and I look down, because remember, we go up maybe 1 or 2 flights of stairs, and I look out, and I'm just like, oh my God, I am in Saint Tropez. And this is my first time. So this time I got I hired a photographer. So I had a professional photo shoot done. I still have the photos, and this guy was high end. I was like, oh my God. And I just remember being like, this is what I was telling myself no to. And here's another thing about why I'm emphasizing really immersing in Italy and the power of it changing you at deep cellular levels. I knew that just a trip, okay, was not it, right? Like, I knew me transforming my wealth consciousness permanently was a priority for me. And I knew that just a gorgeous trip to the south of France wasn't it. And so what I did was I booked a one-way ticket from Saint Tropez. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Actually, from Miami, because my sister's birthday was coming up, and I treated her to a trip to Miami. So I went from Saint Tropez to Miami, then on a one-way trip to Milan, Italy, because I wanted to normalize abundance at a deep level. I wanted to normalize abundance at a deep level. When you normalize abundance at a deep level, where it becomes baked in, or anything that you normalize and bake it in over time. Because remember, I got that one-way ticket to Italy, and it was not my plan to stay there. My plan was to go for 7 weeks and figure it out. That was the plan. Go to Italy for 7 weeks and figure it out. Why I chose 7 weeks, talk to the universe about that. But I said, I'm going to go to Italy, Milan, Italy, for 7 weeks, and I will figure it out. By about week 5, when I was looking at, oh, in 2 weeks, I'm supposed to be going back to the United States. And so much had happened over those 5 weeks. And what I was doing was my wealth consciousness practices while I was there those 5 weeks, or before the 5 weeks that even got me there to begin with, I went deeper into them. And this is what I started to do. First of all, when I got into my flat, gorgeous flat, I still have photos and even videos. If you go to my YouTube channel, I did so many videos in that flat. When I would wake up in the morning, before I even got out the bed, I would just sit on the edge of the bed. Look at what you did. Like physiologically, like feel. Look at what you created. Look at what you, because it's so important that we normalize this in our bones and our cells. When you're used to less, whatever is your version of less, when you're used to, on a deep unconscious level, I can't afford that, or just survival-based living, telling yourself you can't afford it, you don't deserve it, living in the constant struggle, etc. In order to really shift that at deep, permanent levels, there's a normalizing it in your bones where you take daily practices and normalize the feeling of it. Now, prior to you actually being in the environment of more, because this is me talking about being in Milan. So it's so much more easier to normalize it even more when you're in the reality that you wanted all along. But what I was doing in the reality of being in Milan, I was doing it before I got there. It just sometimes feels like it takes more when you're not in it yet. So I would wake up, and even before I would get sit up, I would lay there and I would look and be like, look at what you created. I'd be in the bed, like laying down, like, look at what you created. And I would turn over on my back. Look at, wow. And then I would soften, drop my body into the bed more. Then I would get up and I would sit on the edge of the bed and just look around. You did this. You did this. What else are you going to do? What else can you create? What's next? All things are possible. You knew it all along. You always knew. Trust what you know. Always trust what you know. Let nothing get in the way. Let nothing get in the way. Remember who you are. Then I would start to remember all the times that I doubted, or if something wasn't happening fast enough, like a manifestation wasn't happening fast enough. And I would like, well, maybe I'm not. Remember when you would doubt? See why you don't doubt? Remember when you thought it wasn't going to happen because it didn't happen fast enough? Never do that again, because look at what you created. It will happen. Remember, demand it, or just maybe not demand, right? Just expect it, expect it, expect it. Prepare for it. Be it. It is yours, all yours, now. Then I would get up out of the bed, go to the window, open up the window, look at all the cars driving by, and do the same thing. Look at what you created. Look at this. Look at him. Wow. Look. And here's the thing. For those of you who engage in visualization and meditation and vision boards and all that, the real thing is going to be so much better than you can visualize. And some of y'all already know that. The real thing is going to be better than you visualize, especially if you're a big thinker. Especially if you're a big thinker. I would get dressed, go out to get something to eat, go to a coffee shop, go shopping, and do the same thing. Look at what you created. Look at what you... Then I started creating my content from this frequency, talking to other people. More money started coming in. Consistent 5-figure months. And this is at a time where the money part was so... Money is always important for the creation and to invest, to move things. So it's not like money was important then and it's not important now. I'm saying this was a time in my life where I was normalizing abundant money in my life for the first time in my life at a whole new level. Normalizing more money in my life. Okay? Somebody said more money, more problems. What do you consider a problem? Would you rather have low-level problems or high-level problems? How do you define problem? You mean paying higher taxes? How do you define a problem? Because depending on the life that you want to live, okay, you rather have the problem of having taxes. They want me to continue. Why? I don't know. They want me to verify. That's the first. Okay. You can keep it. You're in the wrong place if you want low-level problems, baby. You in the wrong place. Go ahead and invest your time on somebody else's live stream. Okay? Because there's plenty of them out there. I love high-level problems. Oh, God, my taxes are, $20,000. Well, you must have made a hell of a lot of money. You must have made up. And when you run a business and you make sure you get the right accountant, a lot of that can be fixed, baby. Loopholes of the rich, baby. You are the rich. Start a business, know that tax code, get somebody that know that tax code, baby. Honey, my rent was a tax write-off. That's a whole other conversation. So by week 5 in Milan, Italy, of continuously having experience after experience after experience after experience that expanded my capacity for more. Yes, I can do this. I can have this. This is possible. Look at me. Pictures, videos of me. Pictures and videos. Dinner here. Oh, I met this guy. I met this woman. I'm invited here. I went shopping here. Going to bed, waking up, going to bed, wake up. Normal. By week 5, when I'm looking at, oh man, I'm supposed to be leaving in like 2 weeks. And I remember I ended up going to Florence while I was there. A business coach who I love was having an event there. So I ended up flying down there for her business event. And I remember went there, then I came back up and I was looking at, I'm supposed to be going back to the United States. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I going back to the United States again? See, when you start changing yourself at deep levels, the thoughts that you were having 6 weeks ago change. You start having whole new thoughts. Whole new thoughts. That's why I tell people making decisions from where you are is a bad idea. Well, I can't do that because I can't afford that. Well, I can't do that because you're looking at where you are now. That's why you have probably heard before, don't make a decision based on where you are, make a decision based on where you're going. What would you do at that level? You decide from that level, even though you're right now at this level, and then you bring about the thought, the solution, the way, the how of how to actually get yourself to the other place that you're visualizing, desiring, wanting. So by week 5, because remember I told you, I went to Milan and the original plan was I'm going to go for 7 weeks and then I'll figure it out. Week 5, like, why am I going back to the United States? Oh my God, I don't have to go back to the United. Why did I think I had to go back to the United States? And because my mind had opened, it was like, oh, you don't have to go back to the United States. Oh my God, I'm staying in Italy? Talk about normalizing high frequency. Talk about normalizing abundance. 7 weeks turned into 4 years. Yeah. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you normalize seeing, you can never accept scarce, really, again. So when I talk to you about us immersing for 3 months in Milan, Italy, this year, September, well, that's 4 months, September, October, November, December, I'm referring to the beauty. I'm referring to how you will change at the deepest levels, because then the rest of your life, you will be transformed for creating abundant things, because you will change at the deepest, most unconscious cellular levels. You're not just going on a nice little retreat to Italy. You're not just going to a nice little trip to Italy because to have some Italian food for a week, to have gelato for a week, to go on a tour to Rome and Florence and doing all the touristy things. No, you're going to be changed at the deepest levels to where abundance is normal for you. So when you talk to other people about abundance and all that, you are it. You're not preaching. You're not being hyperbolous and hopeful. You know it because you are it. You're welcome, Appel. Hello, Prosperous Living with T. So in closing, if you have any questions, post them now. And also, if you'd like to have a serious conversation about changing at these deep cellular levels by immersing in Italy at the end of this year, go ahead to the link in my bio. Click on Have Waitlist. Again, it's 2 words. Have Waitlist. Have plenty. Have more. Have love. Have beauty. Have abundance. If you want to have a sincere conversation and to be notified about immersing in Italy at the end of this year for deep cellular beauty, transformation, change. As I'm talking to you, I'm also talking to myself. there's another direction I like to go in, but I feel like it's also time for me to go. So perhaps, yeah, another day. It's all available now. The only thing that can stop me is me. The only thing that can stop you is you. Okay. Nobody can stop what's going on with you up here. You running this. So if you'd like to have a sincere conversation, an expansive conversation, a wealthy conversation, a beautiful conversation about immersing with a group of women who are of like mind, who living bountiful lives is important to them. Whether they are visionary, where you vision casting and being abundant in your vision casting is critical. Whether you are a woman who's looking to do some other extraordinary thing and you recognize that if your mind is small and fearful, that you can't think in these luscious ways and you can't carry out these luscious activities sustainably in truly beautiful, abundant ways where you allow so much good. The good of being held, the good of being loved, the good of being supported, the good of abundance of community with other women, the good of Italy, the good of immersion in Italy. Just like good on top of good on top of good on top of good, and trusting that. And that's normal for you. Where when lots of good doesn't happen or a bounty doesn't happen, you're like, what? Something is off. If you like to have that kind of abundant experience immersively over some time, some weeks at minimum, so that you are really changed at deep cellular bone levels, go to the link in my bio. Thank you for following Prosperous Living. Go to the link in my bio and click Have Waitlist and put your information there. Okay? There's so many opportunities. I don't see any questions. I'll give you 35 more seconds. When I was on earlier, people were like, we're cooking, we're cooking, we're cooking. So considering you may have been cooking, I'll wait about 35 seconds for any lingering questions. Any questions? Mm. Rushing said, did you have family that you had to leave behind? My family is here in California. There was no leaving behind. They were just here in California and I was in Italy. I was talking to my family pretty regularly, so there was no leaving behind. And thank you for all the hearts too. I see we have over 3,000 likes. I sometimes fear they will hate me for leveling up. People who truly love you, they won't hate you. If they hate you, they don't really love you. And if they don't really love you, do you want them in your life? And how about asking them because you fear they will? Have they, you see what I mean? And when you say they, are you talking about blood family? Who are you talking about? And you can have a conversation with them. I remember when I used to be scared of making more money than my mother, I had a conversation with her about that. Have you had a conversation and sat them down and like a real deliberate conversation and said to them, I fear you'll hate me if I level up? Have you had that conversation with your family? And who is the family that you would have that conversation with? Is it your mom, your brothers, your dad? Who? People who genuinely love you, they're going to be thrilled that you level up, even if they're like, you're leaving us, we're going to miss you, even if they feel some of that, which is okay. But people who genuinely love you, they're not going to hate you. And if they hate you, those are not your people. You better get away from those people fast. Or do you like using that as a fear because it's a comfortable prison? It's a safe prison. I'm not going nowhere because they're going to hate me. Oh, yeah, that's safe. Ooh, that's a good fear. That's a really convenient fear. All right, I'm out of here. Let me see. Oh, that's a comment over there. All right. I'm in Sacramento. I'll be in Atlanta in less than 2 weeks, actually. Very good, Appel. You all take good care of yourselves, okay? Have a great week.